Hello and welcome back to the mats. My name is Tatiana and I will be guiding you through this delicious hips like honey yoga sequence to open up the hips and counteract all the side effects of sitting too much. So we'll be doing some nice slow hip openers and hopefully leave you feeling relaxed and open at the end of practice. So finding the way onto the mat with a straight spine, rooting the sit bones into the earth, perhaps closing the eyes and taking a deep breath into the belly and sighing it out through the mouth. Taking these first few moments to connect with yourself and your yoga practice. So taking another deep breath in and out, and then finding your way to an all fours position, tabletop, hands underneath the shoulders, and knees underneath the hips, and then finding a few rounds of cat-cow. Inhaling, finding into cow pose, so the belly draws towards the earth, gazing towards the sky, and with the exhalation pushing yourself away from the earth, doming the shape into a U shape. Inhaling, coming back into cow, and exhaling, feeling the vertebra opening up, finding movement in the spine, and to bring some energy across the back of the body, waking up all the muscles and spines in the vertebrae. And from here, finding your way into Gait pose, so pivoting the left foot towards the back, the right foot sweeps alongside the mat, left arm is anchored on the earth, right arm sweeps up parallel to the left hand, and then sweeping the fingertips, the right fingertips up and overhead, stretching open the right side body, and then reversing, sweeping the right fingers down alongside the outstretched right leg, left fingertips sweep up and overhead. Feeling that nice opening up across the side body, gently stretching open the left hip, and then sweeping the fingers back towards the earth, the right fingertips sweep to the sky, and coming back into all fours, tabletop position, and preparing for Gait pose on the other side. The right foot swivels back, left foot stretches across the mat, and sweeping the left arm up and overhead, right palm rooted on the earth. So thinking of a straight line from the right hand all the way to the left fingertips, sweeping the left fingertips up and overhead, gazing either to the fingers or to the mat if that's more comfortable on the neck. And then taking a deep breath in and sliding the left hand up and over, down along the outstretched left leg, right arm comes up and overhead, stretching open the right side body, and floating both hands back into the original position, right hand on the mat, left hand comes up towards the sky, and finding your way back into all fours tabletop position, shaking out the backs of the feet, tucking the back toes, and from here pushing the hips up and back into downward facing dog, perhaps pedaling out the feet, straightening one leg and the other leg, changing directions of the legs that are outstretched and bent, shaking the head yes and no, rooting through all 4 points of contact with the earth. The feet are hip width distance apart, the hands are shoulder width distance apart. Inhaling deeply into the belly and sighing it out through the mouth. And with the next inhalation, sweeping the right foot up into three-legged dog, perhaps rotating the right ankle in one direction and the other direction, and then bending the right knee, the right ankle draws towards the buttocks, opening up across the right leg, and then stretching out the leg and drawing the right foot between the hands, lowering the back left knee. Front hands are framing the right foot, opening up the left hip. breathing space into the legs, and perhaps coming from this low lunge into lizard pose if that's comfortable. So coming down onto the forearms and letting yourself melt between the hips, relaxing the shoulders and the neck. Perhaps walking the right foot slightly more towards the outer edge of the mat to create more space, tuning in with what your body needs here. And then pressing yourself back up if you were on your forearms and coming into all fours position, tucking the toes into downward facing dog, maybe pedaling out the feet again. And with the next inhalation, sweeping the left foot up and over, pointing the toes, rotating the ankle in one direction, the other direction. Noticing any pops or cracks and clicks in the ankle joint. And then from here, bending the left knee, drawing the ankle towards the bum, opening up across the left quad and hip, finding spaciousness, remembering the breath, rooting through the 3 points of contact with the earth here, stretching out the left leg, and then stepping the left foot forward between the hands, dropping the right knee, sitting down into your low lunge on this side, and perhaps this is enough of a stretch for you here. Or if you'd like more, coming into lizard pose, walking the left foot towards the outer edge of the left mat to create space to let yourself possibly drop down onto your forearms. This is quite an intense hip stretch, so if this doesn't feel comfortable in your body today, feel free to stay on the hands or dropping down onto the forearms with every exhalation, softening deeper into the pose. And then pressing yourself back up, stepping the left knee back through all fours, back into downward facing dog, stretching out the hamstrings, relaxing the head between the arms, and then walking the feet towards the hands and letting yourself release into a forward fold. Slowly rolling yourself up one vertebra at a time, arms sweep up and overhead, hands to prayer at heart center. And then stepping long alongside the mat, so the feet are quite wide, long side of the mat, stretching the arms up and over and sitting down into your goddess squat, inhaling star pose and exhaling goddess squat, inhaling, stretching out the legs. And sitting down into your squat, perhaps taking one more round. And from here, placing the hands onto the thighs, looking over the left shoulder, feeling the twist in the spine. And rotating back through center and gazing over the right shoulder. Pressing the hands into the thighs. And coming back through center, stretching yourself up, open into a star, hands at prayer at the heart center. And then walking the feet closer together, the heels are inwards, toes pointing out, and sitting yourself down into Malasana, our Yogi squat. The hands can be resting on the earth for stability or maybe at heart center. You can use the elbows to press the outside edges of the knees to open up more on the inside edges of the thighs. The heels do not have to be touching the ground, but drawing them towards the earth. Feeling a nice stretch in the backs and the front of the hips and the thighs, keeping a tall spine. I'll just move myself so you can see from a different angle what this pose can look like, but you can stay exactly in the position that you're in. And remembering to breathe here, send the breath to the hips, breathing into the belly and sighing it out. And then walking the feet back in towards one another, folding forward over the thighs into your forward fold, releasing tension here And with the inhalation, slowly rolling yourself one vertebra at a time back into mountain pose. And from here, planting the palms and stepping back into downward facing dog, rooting through all 4 points of contact with the earth, connecting back with the breath, and then sweeping the right foot up and over, opening up the right hip. And from here, preparing for pigeon pose. So drawing the right leg between the hands and resting the right foot and shin parallel to the front of the mat, squaring off the hips, so tilting the pelvis so that you try root through both parts of the sit bones. The ribs draw in towards the abdomen, lifting open the sternum, dropping the shoulders, and perhaps walking the hands forward and letting the upper body melt on top of the right foot. But it might be a very intense pose for you here, so choosing what feels comfortable. We don't want to feel any pain in the knee, so either walking the right foot further up towards the short edge of the mat or bringing the right foot closer to the pelvis, so having more of a bend in the knee. Always listening to the body, softening into the pose with each exhalation, and feeling the stretch of this very intense hip opener. Walking the hands slowly back towards the body, tucking the left toe and pressing yourself back up into downward facing dog. And from here, sweeping the left foot up, flexing the toes of the left foot, and then bringing the shin and the ankle at an angle between the hands, preparing for pigeon pose on the left side, reaching the sternum up and open, and then perhaps walking the hands forward, coming onto the forearms, or all the way onto the mat, resting the forehead on the earth, releasing into pigeon on the left side. It's said that we store a lot of emotions in our hips, so this could be a wonderful way to just release any thoughts or feelings that we might be holding on to. If we sit a lot, our hips tend to feel very uncomfortable and tight, so this is a wonderful way to send energy and breath and blood to the hips to help them open and release tension and stiffness. So never go to the point of pain, but we do like to feel a bit of tension here to help us open up the hips. And tune into how with every exhalation you might sink deeper into the pose. And slowly walking the hands back up towards the body, straightening out, and then stepping back into downward facing dog, pedaling out the feet, maybe shaking the head yes and no, finding back into stillness, and then stepping the knees wide, coming into puppy pose by melting the upper body towards the earth. The hips are stacked above the knees, the big toes are touching, the arms come up and overhead, palms resting on the mat. And for a more intense stretch, feel free to come onto the fingertips, so forming a little tent with the hands. You'll feel quite an intense stretch across the back body and the shoulders all the way up the arms. And once again, using the breath to release, melting the heart onto the earth. From here, walking yourself slightly forward on the forearms and then resting into child's pose. The knees can be touching or apart, resting the forehead on the ground. If this feels very intense in the arms, you can walk them alongside the body. Inhaling and exhale, releasing yourself into the earth. Feeling the stretch across the lower back and the hips. And tuning back into the breath. Enjoy being held in your safe little cocoon here. And for the next inhalation, slowly rolling yourself back up and swing the legs into our butterfly pose, the palms of the feet together, forming a little clasp with the hands, sliding them underneath the toes, and then pulling yourself forward, pressing the elbows into the calves or knees to help lever the knees towards the earth, keeping a straight spine, and then folding forward, feeling the stretch across the inside edges of the thighs as well as the lower back and the hips. Another great hip opener, and really think about keeping a straight lower spine and not rounding through the upper spine. From here, releasing and walking the feet further forward, coming into a diamond shape with the legs. And here we can round the spine to release and come into a more restorative version of the pose. The forearms can be resting on the ground and letting the head and the neck hang heavy, releasing any tension in the face, letting the muscles be soft, feeling the knees gently open and draw towards the earth, opening up the inside edge of the thighs and the hips. And finding stillness and quiet in this restorative pose. And slowly roll yourself up, close the knees, shove yourself forward on the mat, grasp behind the legs, and roll back down onto your back. Drawing the knees in towards the chest, hugging your knees, maybe rocking from side to side, and then opening up into a T shape with the arms, letting both knees fall over to the right hand side, coming into supine twist. You can gaze towards the sky or over the left hand, maybe placing the right hand on top of the left knee to intensify the twist. And think about keeping both shoulders rooted on the ground. Rooting through the right hip and letting yourself twist and melt into this gentle spinal twist. Walking the feet back towards center, hugging the knees into the chest, maybe rocking from side to side, and then bringing the arms out into a T shape once again, letting both knees gently fall over to the left side, closing down the eyes. The neck can be pointing up towards the sky or gazing over the right fingertips. The left hand can come on top of the right knee to help anchor yourself on the ground. Just letting yourself release into the spinal and hip opener. Sending the breath throughout the body. Especially when we're in twist positions, we sometimes hold onto the breath, but just remembering to breathe into the belly. Walking the feet back towards the center line, hugging the knees back into the chest, and coming into happy baby pose. So grasping the outside edges of the feet, knees draw towards the armpits. You can stay in a static baby, opening up the thighs, or you can rock from side to side to massage out the lower spine. Maybe squeezing the bottom of the feet, taking whatever you need here to help open the hips even further and find release in any tension that you might be holding in the body. From here, gently release, letting the arms rest with the palms facing up alongside the body. The bottoms of the feet touch, coming into a reclined butterfly pose, so the knees open, still maintaining contact with the lower spine on the earth. And for a more intense groin and hip opener, The heels are closer to the pelvis. And for a less intense stretch, walking the feet towards the top of the mat, so having more of a diamond shape in the legs. Using the breath to soften, feeling the knees melt towards the earth. Deep rest. And you can stay in reclined butterfly pose for Savasana, or for a more traditional version of our final resting pose. You can stretch the legs out alongside the body, letting the feet relax away from the midline. Sending the breath throughout the body. The eyes are closed. Letting the body release every layer, fluid, relaxed, like honey melting into the earth. Allowing yourself a moment of quiet. And from here, gently deepening the breath, bringing movement back in the body by wriggling the fingers and toes, perhaps stretching the arms up and overhead, lengthening the body, keeping the eyes closed, hugging the knees in towards the chest, giving yourself a nice hug, and then very gently in your own time, slowly pressing yourself into a comfortable seated position on your mat. The hands can rest on the knees or in the lap. The shoulders are relaxed, drawing away from the ears. And then sweeping the arms up and overhead, gathering energy, palms to touch, and drawing this energy back to the heart center. Bowing the head in gratitude for showing up on the mat today and doing something good for your mind, body, and spirit. Thank you so much for practicing with me today. I really appreciate it, and I hope to see you on the mat again soon. I upload new YouTube videos every Sunday, so please hit the red subscribe button not to miss out on any new yoga action, and give the video a thumbs up and share if this is something you know could benefit your friends. Lots of love, Tatiana.